What up, you guys, and welcome back to CHENG'S Aqua. And I wanted to talk about 3 little tips that I would recommend when you're keeping black diamond stingrays. As you can tell, I have 2 regular ones, and I also have an albino in the back. This tank also does have albino giant gourami and a flower horn. But I want to start with the tips. Let's get started. So here I have a 250 gallon aquarium. These guys are getting pretty big. I am going to need a bigger one. At the moment, it doesn't need. But first tip number 1 I do recommend is lids. Lids are important. Not saying that they'll jump out. Actually, that's exactly what I'm saying. I haven't had a problem with that, but I have seen them thrash all the way up to the side here, and their lip come up all the way up to here. And keep in mind, the water ends here, more or less, so they're this much out of the water. So that's number 1, lids. I've done a video on how I make these lids. I will make a new one because it's been a while since I made a video on that. But these are these cheap plastic lids. These are the greenhouse panels, thingy-majiggies. Work great for it. They let a good amount of light go through. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also have a datnoid in there. But yeah, these lids are important, I think, especially if you have other fish too that might jump out because of the stingrays. But yeah, look how cute these guys are. Next, tip number 2. What do you call it? Driftwood. Driftwood helps balance out the pH, but it does lower it. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, because with the driftwood, it does also release some tannins. It also has some healing properties to it. But I also have to put coral in the sump because of it. So take that information as you will, but you want to keep the pH stable. So I do advise some driftwood. Maybe you don't need much, but, and maybe not the way I have it. This was all up against the wall. They knocked it down. And I'm tired of fixing it, so I might just glue them all together into one piece and put them against the wall. Maybe they won't knock it like that, but that's for later on. So again, I do recommend driftwood. It's been beneficial for me in a way. I think it might have actually even helped when they got hurt, because it does have healing properties. Let me see here. It's kind of, they sell here also at PetSmart or Petco. What do you call it? See here if it says anything. It does naturally lower pH, create black water in the aquarium. It's suitable for all soft water fish, discus, tetras, angelfish, and killifish. So tip number 3. It's no doubt the stingrays need a heater. Now, I do recommend whatever tank you have, put it on a sump. That is tip number 3. For this reason that I was talking about, the heater. The heater, these guys love to touch everything. They have gone from all the way up in that corner, all the way across to everything in this tank. So if you have a heater in the actual aquarium, they will touch it. So like I was pointing out, I do recommend a sump, for the fact being that stingrays love to swim around and touch everything. And eventually, if you have a heater in there without a protective cover, or if the cover ever comes off, they will touch it and they will burn themselves, which is actually why I got my first 2 stingrays so cheap, because they were damaged, they were hurt, and that took me a long time to bring them back to the current state they're in right now. Again, their discs aren't perfect, but I don't care. I still think they're healthy. I know they're healthy. I know they're doing fine, and they look great to me. So again, a sump is great, mainly because it makes it easier to clean the filter, so you'll do it more often, as well as it also adds to the amount of water column volume that you actually have in the aquarium. So in my sump, I have a 20 gallon underneath my my 250. So instead of it only being 250 gallons, I technically have it in a 270 gallon aquarium. So that is tip number 3. Those are 3 tips that I recommend, that I think are one of the strongest, or some of the strongest ones when it comes to having stingrays, especially black diamonds, which is what I have. Now, one extra bonus tip that I did want to recommend was actually frozen foods and live foods. I do recommend those most of all. Like I was saying, frozen foods and live foods are the best. Now, I do feed pellets sometimes, but I do realize that the pellets can actually cause bloat, and I don't feed it often, maybe once a week at most. But I do have a variety of foods, from frozen shrimp, scallops, squid, calamari, what else? Even fish fillet, as well as bloodworms, plankton, and brine shrimp. Definitely recommend those. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to see more videos like this. And check out my live streams on my Stingrays. I think they're pretty interesting. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully I see you in the next video.